Welcome to another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. On this week's program, we meet one of the passers-by who came to the aid of a young boy being attacked by a dog a week and a half ago. Award-winning comedian, actor, MC, and best-selling author Eric Johnston joins us ahead of a stand-up comedy date this Friday in Collingwood. Did I mention his dad and granddad were professional wrestlers? And his docuseries Run with the Bull, 3 Generations of Sports and Entertainment on Crave. Stay tuned. And Friday Harbour is gearing up for a summer full of activities for adults and kids, and you don't have to live there to take part. Details coming up. We get the conversation started after this. An 11-year-old boy continues his recovery after a dog attack nearly 2 weeks ago on Essa Road near Loggers Run, recovering thanks in part to the effort of Shawn Hillan, among others, who intervened and were able to distract the dog long enough to pull the boy to safety. He recounts that morning with our Ian McLennan.
You came to the aid of this 11-year-old boy. How did this come to your attention that this young person was in trouble?
I just started my day out like any other day, leaving for work. I was pulling out of my driveway. I looked in my rearview mirror as I was backing up, and I noticed something in the middle of the parking lot. So I immediately drove down to it, and that's when I noticed it was a boy getting attacked by a dog, and there was a man over top of him kind of shielding him from the dog, but he wasn't obviously doing well enough. So that's when I immediately jumped out of my car and started kicking the dog as much as I could and trying to get it to stop from going at the boy. And I didn't see any chance of him stopping, so that's when I went to my car and I looked for like the first thing I could find, and it was a snow brush. So then I came back out and I started hitting the dog and eventually kind of backed up. And that's when I kind of yelled at everyone to get the boy up. And at that time, no one really could. Everyone was just too focused on the dog at the same time, not get bit. So then the dog ended up going back at the boy, and then that's when I kind of started hitting the dog a little harder and really trying to get it away from him. And at that point, the dog kind of gave up a little bit, and that's when I just grabbed the kid off the ground and I threw him in my car.
The dog itself, I mean, you're describing something where it wouldn't let go of this kid until you responded.
Yeah. I picked the boy up, and then even when I had the boy in my arms, the dog was still jumping at the boy, trying to bite him the whole time. And then thankfully I got him in my car, and then after it seemed like the dog was still kind of circling around, like waiting for his moment, but he obviously didn't get another moment. And then the police and ambulance all came, and at that exact moment, I was talking to the kid, trying to figure out some information about him. And in that time, I tried to get him to call his mom, but there was no answer. So then immediately I was like, well, where do you live? Figuring it must be close as he was walking to school. And he told me his address, so I instantly started running to his house as other people were taking care of him, because I figured he needed his mom. And then as soon as I got there, his mom sadly was leaving, and she didn't notice me like running up. And then by the time I got back to the scene, it had kind of dissipated. And then I talked to officers and paramedics and whatnot.
Had you ever seen, I mean, maybe an odd question, but have you ever seen a dog in this sort of, intense, in a rage, or I don't know how you describe it?
Well, I only seen the dog 2 times prior to this. It's my neighbor. He was just babysitting the dog for the weekend, I believe. So Friday night, I had gotten home from work, and I seen him taking the dog out for a walk on his leash. And I noticed the dog kind of pulling at him, or like pulling and like seeing something, but I didn't notice what he was looking at. And then the guy brought him inside instantly. But in that moment, I just had this bad feeling that something bad would happen with this dog. It was just like a second sense or sixth sense.
So this neighbor was babysitting sort of the dog, I guess?
Yeah, I believe he's just babysitting the dog.
What type? I know we've heard descriptions of bully type, a mastiff. What do you know? What type of dog?
I believe it was a pit bull. From doing my research and seeing the dog too, I definitely believe it was a pit bull.
If you hadn't been there, or other people may have not been able to get, do you think this young man could have perished?
I I do. I really do think that that boy would have died. If it wasn't for me and the other people even there too attempting, it was just that dog was so strong and so hyper fixated on that boy. It seemed like it was like his target. Sorry to say.
Obviously we want to respect the privacy of the young man, but are you able to describe the type of injuries that this the young boy suffered? I know we've been told there are serious injuries.
Yes, they're definitely serious. As I didn't really get a great look at him, but from what I could tell, his legs were cut up very severe, like deep, deep gashes that would definitely need staples or stitches. And then he had cuts all over his body. The dog was going head to toe, biting at him. And then when I put him in my car, and later on, I went to look in my car, and there was blood all in the car and everything all over the place. So he got hurt bad.
You know, the dog was shot by Barrie police, and
thankfully.
yeah. That was my next question, was when you heard that, your reaction.
Oh, it's sad because it's a sad situation, but happy because I genuinely believe that dog was not raised right, and it probably would have done it to someone else given the chance.
We are with Eric Johnston, who has got a number of upcoming dates performing, including Collingwood at Taps and Tunes Bar and Grill on June the 19th. First of all, Eric, tell us a bit about who you are. I know people know the name, but those that don't.
No, that's okay. This is show business. I often have to explain who I am. That's okay. So I am Eric Johnston. I'm a Canadian comic. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 15 years. I'm also an actor and producer and author. And currently I'm on the Eric Johnston Son of a Bull comedy tour, which is pinballing across Ontario. And like you said off the top, and I'm going to be in Collingwood at Taps and Tunes on June 19th. So here we are today.
It's Johnston with a T, and that has significance, right?
Yeah, I mean, my father was a professional wrestler and toured all over the country in the 1980s, and his name was Bullwhip Johnson with no... because they were making posters back in the day, and the guys would drop the T and forget about the T so many times that John's son had more booking power than John's son. So eventually he just went with it. And my dad used to say, Johnson, I don't care, as long as you pay me, I'll be there. So
we have that problem in Barrie with Johnson's Beach and Johnston's Beach. So you call it what you want, right? So
there you go.
Yeah, docu-series notes, Run with the Bull, reading over, it's a 6-parter. You lost your dad at age 13, and according to the write-up, you're on a mission to get healthy for the sake of your newborn son, Jet, and your wife. It touches on a lot of themes of men's mental health, modern-day fatherhood, confronting generational trauma. This is coming from a comic. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, so when you read it out, it doesn't sound like it's a comedy show, but it is in fact a comedy show, a 6-part comedy show called Run with the Bull, and it was just that. It was I wrote a book years ago called Run with the Bull. It's the same name, and it was really more of a profile about my grandfather and my father and their journey through show business and their deaths. And in that book, I touched on themes of mental health and addiction and losing a parent and love and loss and sacrifice and all those things. Then I was approached by Bell 5 to produce my own show, and I wanted to use a lot of the same themes about my father and his story and his death. But the real motivation was that I don't want to die. I just had a son almost exactly a year and a half ago, and I wanted to live a long life. And how do you do that? I dove in for myself for my mental health, but body, and it was kind of a whole look under the hood for mind, body, and soul. So I did all these crazy kind of soul-searching experiences, but also physical stuff like dance classes and MMA classes and running 3K and climbing towers and canoeing and all kinds. So it was a real, like, a journey of how to be better for myself, but also for the benefit of my new son. So it's a great show. It's doing really well on 5. I'm extremely proud of it. And I realized that I've made a men's mental health TV show above all. I thought it was going to be a kind of a slapsticky, kind of silly comedy show. And once we got into it, it ended up being a lot more. So you have to check it out on Bell 5 TV1.
Yeah, you talk it's comedy, but did you set out to do awareness then to reach out to other men?
Yeah, I mean, I think by doing it, it was exactly that. And once it was all put together, I was, my editor and my co-executive producer and people who had seen it went, wow, you're gonna really help a lot of people with this because, it's really raw. I've been saying, it's bones and all. You get my comedy career, which is, flourishing at my 15-year mark. I'm touring, like, selling out shows all over the place, which is great. But really, what's my motivation and where do I come from and where do I want to go? And talking about things that a lot of men don't talk about, and especially a lot of comics don't talk about. A lot of comics mask their pain with comedy, which I do to a degree, but I'm also willing to openly talk about it, which I think a lot of people aren't. So hopefully by starting that conversation, it does help some people.
Yeah, I mean, you can name Robin Williams, among others, where the mask was on, the mask was off on the stage, but it was on when the light was off.
Of course. I mean, I think there's so many comics who struggle. I think, it's comedy comes from, the quest to make people happy. And a lot of comics don't take the time to make themselves happy. They're just so focused on making other people laugh and making other people smile that they lose a lot of that in their own life. And I just made a decision that that's not going to be me. I'm going to live a great life on top of being a touring, comedian and entertainer and actor and producer and all these things that I'm doing. But at the end of the day, I'm a family man. And I think that's what grounds me the most is my love for my family and my wife and my son and my mom's still around and my sister and all my friends in the community of Hamilton, Ontario. That's really who I'm doing it for. I mean, I love the sound of laughter, but at the end of the day, I'm a family man.
And when you talk laughter, tell us about your comedy. I mean, I've seen things on YouTube and what have you, but for people who aren't familiar and are going to go to your show, what can they expect, or is it all about surprises?
Well, no, I will say this. I'm a high-energy storyteller. Like I said, I grew up in that professional wrestling household, and everyone who walked through my front door had a story to tell about their weekend, about their matches, or about where they came from or where they're going. And that's really what the show is about. It's not just about professional wrestling. It's about, my journey and I grew up in Hamilton. I still live here in Hamilton and what that was like and the journey of trying to get pregnant with my wife and us going through fertility treatments and stuff like that. That's all in the show. It's just really raw and honest, but high energy and extremely funny. And it's one of those shows that you can bring the whole family to as long as they're over 19. I just mean people my age can bring their parents because I talk a lot about the baby boom generation and the differences between how I was raised versus how I'm raising my son. And it's just kind of a full kind of life experience up till now and presented in a, hour-long comedy show.
So it's relational comedy?
Yeah, of course. It's storytelling. It's truth. There's a lot of great one-liner comics out there, but I'm not one of those guys. And I'm not dirty, but I'm not clean. I'd say I'm Canadian clean. When Canadian clean,
you're Canadian scrubbed, right?
Yeah, it's exactly. There's some swearing in the show, but it
get
too lewd.
No.
It doesn't get too lewd or blue, as we say in the industry.
Now, and with your comedy too, do you find that some of those dark stories you can bring humor into it as a way of getting through? And is that advice you might offer to some other people?
Yeah, I mean, I think comedy is truth, and truth can be traumatic. And there's a new bit in my hour that I'm doing that I'm really proud of and excited about, but it came out from doing therapy. I was talking to my therapist about a memory I had when I was a child, and my therapist was, somewhat appalled at the memory of what I was telling her, and I was saying, going, "Oh my God, this is so funny," and then I turned it into a piece of material, and now it's one of the best parts of my show. I feel it's just, that's kind of the process for a comedian. You take these experiences from your life and you write material about them and you make it relatable, and not everyone had a father who was a professional wrestler, but everyone had a parent who had a big personality or had a story to tell or had some friends around the house who were always crazy. And, I tell those stories and I relate it to them and going, my life was different than yours, but in a lot of ways, we're all the exact same.
And having a dad and a grandfather who were wrestlers, and though your dad passed away when you were young, what was that like? Were you the, and I don't say the cool kid, like your friends thought that was pretty awesome?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, before I was smart, when I was really little, before maybe 4 or 5 years old, I just thought that because my dad was kind of a celebrity here in Hamilton. Everywhere he went, everyone would go, "Hey, Bullwhip," and I just go like, "Why are they calling you that?" And my dad would go, "I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later." Then I started going to the matches, and I would go to all the matches. Some of them were in potato festivals in the middle of a field, and then next weekend he's wrestling for the WCW in the Buffalo arena. And working with the Buffalo Bills on stuff and being on TV and commercials. So I saw the full spectrum. And, we'd be watching people on TV, or my friend would have an action figure that they'd bring to school of Macho Man Randy Savage. And I go, I was just with that guy last weekend. And, people were blown away in the community. And I always say my dad's life was like that movie Big Fish, where there was all these stories about all these characters in his life. And then when my father passed away, all the characters from the show, from the movie, showed up to his funeral. And it was like, whoa, there's the Bear Man, there's the Giant, there's the Grizzly Man, there's
real life.
Yeah, it's like they were all there for my story. And really the biggest thing is they were invited into our home, and they really inspired me to be a character, and still live my truth, but I just mean like an entertaining, charismatic person. Everyone in my life when I was a child was funny. So I was like, well, I got to do this funny thing. And then, now I do it for a living. So it's a kind of a full circle.
And it may sound hokey, but you get a positive vibe that in a way you're taking your dad and your grandfather on this road trip too.
Oh, no, it's not hokey at all. That's my whole goal. My father died 9 days after my 13th birthday. My grandfather died 2 years before I was even born. There's not a lot of male longevity in my family on my dad's side. And my whole thing was honoring them. Like my grandfather was the Bull, and my father was Bullwhip, and now I'm currently on the Son of a Bull comedy tour, and I sell some of my merchandise at my merch table is some of their T-shirts, like my dad's original wrestling T-shirt, and they owned a gym in Hamilton called Bull's Gym, and I sell that as a T-shirt. The original T-shirt designed for Bull's Gym as my merchandise. It's all about that legacy, and as far as I know, I'm the only comedian in the world whose father and grandfather were professional wrestlers. So I'm leaning into that as a brand and as a marketing thing, but also just as a legacy. It makes me feel good to tell their stories. So that's what it's all about for me. And, and maybe my son Jet someday will do the same thing for me. Hopefully I'll be here to see it alive.
Yeah, that's your goal. Yeah.
That's the goal. That's why we did the TV show.
Yeah.
I'm around to see it.
Some would say get out of Hamilton, but no.
No. Well, smoggy.
No, and one final. How do you handle? And I guess all comedians get them a heckler. With your background, thinking about your dad and your grandfather, do you tell them to be quiet, or you ignore them, or is it a body slam?
Oh, well, it's always a little different out there. I mean, I don't get heckled that often, and the only reason is not because I'm so far better than everyone else. It's because I'm so high energy, and my show moves so fast, and I'm so animated that people don't often have the opportunity to kind of interject. Also, I don't do any crowd work. I don't walk up there and go, so what do you do for a living? And are you guys dating, or are you guys getting divorced? Like, I don't do that style of comedy. I do storytelling. So it's like someone could go, hey, wait a minute, I have something to say. I'm just on to the next part of the show. So, but I mean, that being said, I'd be delusional to say that and not think that it has happened. And, you deal with it some way. Sometimes you can settle them, but other times you got to throw them out. And I think the biggest benefit is because my father and grandfather are professional wrestlers, and I'm over 6 feet tall and 240 pounds myself. I think people think that I know how to fight, but I don't. I danced competitively growing up. So if anyone wants to have a tap battle, I'm your man. But there'll be no body slams from me. I usually let security take care of that.
Eric Johnston with the T in Collingwood, Taps and Tunes Bar and Grill, June 19th. Thank you, Eric, for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Eric's Son of a Bull stand-up tour makes a stop this Friday at Taps and Tunes Bar and Grill in Collingwood.
We are here with Hani Rostam, Friday Harbour Resort CEO. The summer season is here. Let's be straight up. And summer on the shores of Lake Simcoe. I can't think of a better location to be. And if I'm looking for entertainment, I don't have to go far, do I, Hani? Right to Friday Harbour Resort. How busy is the summer season? What's planned?
Absolutely right. There's nowhere but Friday Harbour for you to really enjoy this summer. And as you said, on the shores of Lake Simcoe. So rolling into the summer season, obviously we're excited to be welcoming everyone to one of what we consider our most dynamic summer seasons yet. You know, this summer, it's all about bringing people together. We want to do it through live entertainment. We want to do it by offering waterfront dining. We've got the shopping and the fun and the excitement on our promenade. We've got the recreation. We've got golf. I'm sure you visited the Nest Club already. We've got boating at our Harbour Master and our marina. We've got a lot of family programming. And of course, we want everyone to have nothing but memorable lakeside experiences, Ian.
And something new at Friday Harbour is the summer concert series you'll be launching. How did that come about, and who will people see?
Yes, again, you know, we really want everyone to really be coming together through live entertainment to enjoy the summer as families, as friends. And this year, we've launched our summer concert series. And this series is going to really be featuring high-energy tribute performances in a lively waterfront setting. So it's going to happen nowhere else but on our CIBC pier stage. And it's a great way, you know, for locals to enjoy a resort-style evening close to home. And Ian, of course, you know, with FIFA, what's happening around without having to travel into the city. Now, the concert series kicks off this Saturday. You're absolutely right, June the 20th, with a night with Elvis. And that's going to be, as I mentioned earlier, on the CIBC pier stage. And we are, attendees can really, of course, can book, a dinner and show. They can do reserved seating. They're going to do general admission. And it's going to be a great nostalgic evening, celebrating the king of rock and roll. Now, the performances themselves, they're going to feature multi-award winning Elvis tribute artist, and they're going to be backed by the Casino Brothers. Now, for our listeners, obviously the Casino Brothers are one of North America's premier six-piece Elvis tribute band. You can have a DJ throughout the evening, before and after the set, so everyone is enjoying the entire evening, not only the music of Elvis. And of course, you're going to ask me about tickets. I'm going to tell you can find them at fridayharbor.com/events. So we've got limited tickets left right now. So I encourage everyone to really go, purchase their ticket, and look forward to a great evening, not only of music, but then also of entertainment, of enjoyment at the shores of Lake Simcoe.
And you got the Spice Girls tribute, July 25th, ABBA Revisited on August 29th. You don't need to bring a chair because you're going to be up dancing, right?
That is right. No chairs needed. Okay.
Now, what also needs to, you might say, oh, okay, come on, kids, we're going to Friday Harbour. Oh, I know, but I'm gaming. I don't want to leave. But the promenade has added a games room this year. Tell me about that.
That is right. This is a new addition on the promenade. This is our games room. It's really filled with games for all ages. By the way, please visit it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been there. A lot of our members been there. A lot of our visitors been there. And once you get in, you don't want to get out.
With interactive gaming and arcade fun. So take some down memory lane, and also some stuff that will be there that I guess kids today would consider modern, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And
you talked about one of the words you used was community. What makes Friday Harbour Resort community?
Yeah, great question, Ian. I always said, what the special thing about Friday Harbour, it's not the beauty of the destination and the location. It's the people that really live at Friday Harbour, is that sense of community, that sense of connection, that sense of togetherness. And when we speak about community, we're not only talking about the community at Friday Harbour, the larger community means a lot to us. This is why our doors are always open to visitors, not only from, Friday Harbour and, the individuals who really live there, but then also the larger community within Innisfil, within Barrie, their friends, their family, and their loved ones as well.
The welcome mat's there 365 days a year, I hear.
100%. We've got a lot of things happening. There's always something happening at Friday Harbour throughout the year. And we look forward to welcome everyone, to really have a lot of fun, especially this summer.
I want to ask, though, too, in terms of planning for a summer events, because obviously you're probably even looking ahead to 2027. What sort of work goes into that to make resorts like Friday Harbour, successful, that bring people out, summer after summer, year after year?
Yeah, Ian, is a great question. A lot of planning, a lot of creativity, a lot of partnership, a lot of inclusivity. Obviously, we want to really do events that, of course, that are spread throughout the year, number one. We want to do events that are fun. We want to do events that are for everyone. We want to do events as well that really makes you enjoy the season, right? We've got our holiday market. We've got our skate escape, in the winter. We've got the summer concert series that we're doing right now for the summer. We want everyone to really come always to Friday Harbour and always be enjoying their time, regardless the time of the year and regardless who they are with.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Ian for carrying the load once again, to Logan for his technical expertise, to Gio for getting the word out, and of course to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Blue Sky and X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and there's our daily Kickstart podcasts available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.